Okay, so today we start with the cardiovascular system. So the cardiovascular system is responsible for transporting oxygen, nutrients and hormones to the cells and remove waste from products from the cells and the tissues. It's also regulating things like your body temperature, immune system, and other functions. We'll go more into details. So, cardio means heart, or that's the heart, or the pump house, or the powerhouse. You know, in a power plant or in a water powerhouse, pump house, similar function we have in the heart. So it's responsible to pump the blood around. Vascular basically means blood vessel. So this is the vessels that transport the blood with its functions and properties around the body. They're divided into two, arteries and veins. So a little bit more about the role of the system. So transporting oxygen to tissue and cells and returning carbon dioxide, like we were speaking about yesterday, to the lungs. Gas exchange with the tissue. Right, so we were talking about in the lung, there's a gas exchange happening. Right? Similarly, in our tissues, there's a gas exchange in the blood, right? Mm. So the blood has to pick up these toxins and deliver them back. Okay? It delivers metabolic waste to the kidneys. Right? So you will
metabolic.
pee it out. That is from the food intake and the energy that comes into.
Or burned energy in the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that comes with some waste.
Yeah.
One sample of that could probably be byproducts from alcohol, right?
Yeah. When you're burning energy, you will get it's like pollution.
Yeah. Similarly, you know, these are interrelating, more or less, you know, doing the same things.
Yeah.
So also removing toxins from the cell, regulating the body temperature. So that could be from the metabolic process. It works in a way where it can increase or decrease the diameter of the blood vessels. So constrict or dilate. It's the way it works to regulate the body temperature. Immune response and protection. This is something we probably learned at school, each and every one of us, you know, sending white blood cells to the wound or wherever you have an inflammation to repair it. Right? Likewise with antibodies, cells that are going there to repair, which are not necessarily white blood cells, right? And proteins to help rebuild tissue in the area, right? regulating the pH and the electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals in the body, in the cells. Circulation of the lymph system, so returning excess tissue fluid from the lymphatic system. And one of my favorites is transporting hormones from the endocrine glands to its target organs, like we were talking about, the liver and the bile production. Right? So the message here is sent through the blood vessels. And it facilitates communication and regulation of body functions. Any questions or thoughts around? It's a lot of responsibility.
I think usually, so I think this is very important system because when we are when the consciousness enter the body is meant when the egg and the sperm meet, and then the first, I don't know it's called the organ or not, but the first thing that is developed is the heart. Because that's when you can, in the machine, you can tell someone, a woman when they're pregnant, first is the beat, the heartbeat. Yeah. So that is the first organ is created in, that's so called.
In reproduction.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It sounds logical.
And in Buddhism philosophy, if you believe in reincarnation, so it's like when you die, the soul leaves the body, and then when all the conditions, favorable conditions happen, and then the consciousness of the soul enter the body, the womb of the mom, and the consciousness transform, manifest into physical body is the heart. So I think the heart is interesting and very intriguing, like how many thousands of years people already talk about that. So that's why Buddha also called the most important sutra is the heart sutra, because it's kind of consciousness and coming into life. I'm fascinated with the heart. Cardiovascular.
Cardiovascular, yeah. So, with all this responsibility, there's also a lot of imbalances that can happen, right? If we don't take good care of it.
Things can go wrong. Long processes.
Yeah. It has a lot of responsibility. So if that system stops working, we stop working. Okay, I'll move on to explain a little bit about one of the concepts that are important to us as yogis when it comes to the cardiovascular system. And that is the cardiac cycle. So you see, the heart has 4 chambers. It has the right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, and left ventricle. The right atrium and the right atrium is receiving blood from the upper parts of the body, what is above the heart, right? Head, neck, throat, etc. The right ventricle is receiving its blood from the lower part of the body. That's a large part of the body, right? Then the right ventricle is sending this blood to the lungs.
To the right is sending to both lungs.
Both lungs, yeah. So that is the waste or the toxin or the carbon dioxide that is returned with the blood to the lung, to the lowers. Right? It grades on the bottom of the lung.
So it goes up to the left lung and then, no, it goes up in both. Yeah.
It goes up in both. So
Yeah.
there is one going up to right, and there is another one going up to the left.
Yeah, and then it is leaking over.
Then it's
to the
discharged
left side. Yeah.
through our mouth. Right? On the left side, we have the left atrium, which is receiving oxygenated blood from the lungs. And then it's sending out oxygenated lungs, blood to the rest of the body.
Yeah, of course, yeah, because this is just going around the blood, but then
It's
it has
going
to,
around and around, so when it's pumping,
yeah,
right? The one pump
yeah,
is taking in blood,
mm,
right? And it's pushing out, right? So it's taking in, pushing out.
taking in on the right side and pushing out on the left side.
Yes. Yeah, it's also taking in on the right side.
Yeah.
Right. So if you watch a heart beat on an animated picture or film, then you see it's like moving a little bit like this. So these are all working like in a perfect
It's kind of massaging
movement
itself. Yeah.
to facilitate this exchange of blood in and blood out.
That's a pump.
Yeah.
So is the color of the blood is different during this process? So, because I heard that, for example, when someone was injured, for example, and if the blood coming out is black, I heard that it's nothing. For example, someone was shot. No, black. It means that not black, but it's like not like red, but it's like really black red. It means that you cannot treat them. But then when someone was shot and then the blood coming out is still red, it means that there's chance that they can. Is it because of the process?
Yeah. So I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to claim that what I'm saying is correct, but it's what I heard that the return blood with waste have a darker color than the oxygenated blood, right? I never noticed the difference when I'm cutting, so and I don't intend to experiment with it.
But I know from the chemistry and geology that the red is oxygen color. If you have iron that is bounded with O2, then it's red. If it's not have this binding, then it will be dark, green, black, whatever. Yeah. So I know that red is the color of, then you are very saturated with oxygen if it's red.
Yeah.
But that I haven't noticed.
No. So this is also bringing us back to what we were talking about yesterday, right? With the respiratory system. So without the respiratory system, everything shuts down, right? And if we want to have good quality of the blood, the respiratory system also has to do its job perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Of course, the whole system is compensating. That's when we have the imbalances. Okay, ready to move on? Okay, a little bit more about the vessels here, right? So these are vessels, right? So arteries, they're thicker than the veins. Their responsibility is to carry oxygenated blood from the heart to the body. So that is always carrying the fresh oxygenated blood away from the heart. Always away from the heart. With high speed, so that's where you can feel your heart rate, right? If you place your fingers on an artery. The veins are narrower in size. The blood there is traveling with lower speed, right? So that's the network that goes into all the muscles, and are typically the one that you cut a little bit and bleed from. Carry the waste, carry the carbon dioxides, and always towards the heart. So if we look at my model here, that means that the red lines here are the veins, right? And the blue lines are arteries.
So veins bring the blood from the body to the heart, and then artery will bring the blood from the heart to the body.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Why?
in deeper details, that means that the arteries are bringing oxygenated blood to tissue, to the cells in the body, right? And then the arteries are picking up the waste and the toxins in the same cells and tissue. So that's when we were talking about, as in the lungs, there is a gas exchange. In the bloodstream, there's also a gas exchange in tissue and the cells.
It's not in the blood itself, is it? It's in the organs or in the tissues, or where you have this exchange, and then it goes to different veins or arteries.
I don't know how exactly it happens, that gas exchange, but now I'm curious, so I'll find out.
Yeah, because if you have the skeleton, sometimes you have with your organs also, and then you will see that red and blue veins, it comes out of the liver, for instance,
It's the same, right?
So
there is red coming in and there is blue coming in, right?
So this exchange is actually a cell thing, I guess. It's happening in the cell, actually, if you go.
Yeah, so it's similar to the lungs, right?
Yeah.
So in the lungs, there's no blood, right?
So you have these gray
So there's
whatever.
not filled with blood inside of your lungs.
No.
It is the arteries and the veins that are
and then it goes through
going through, right, and then absorbing this from the tissue, right?
I get it. It's probably not important in this context.
Two things to also take a mental note of here. That is, the arteries take advantage of the gravity veins work against the gravity. Right? So heart pushes
Yeah.
the blood down, right?
And then the veins is
And the veins
tampering.
are coming up.
Yeah.
Right? So it's that pressure that happens that
Yeah.
push you up.
Yeah.
Right? So when we come to talk about benefits and yoga poses, then you can keep this in mind.
So the pump, but it's still depending on the pump. How the pump
Yeah,
that
because
is
you pump
pushing,
out, right?
and
put
then you're
pressure.
pushing it down, and
Yeah.
then, yeah.
And then
And then
that pressure is also
the pressure
helping
is
to
lifting,
return,
lifting the toxins.
yes.
Yeah.
Right? So, when we come to talk about asanas, right? So if you do a headstand, for example, and that lowers your blood pressure, right? So it releases the workload of the heart. Yeah. When we come to look at what kind of issues you might have, or imbalances, you have high blood pressure, then standing upside down is a good thing, right? Because you lower the blood pressure. If you have low blood pressure, that's when, people upside down become dizzy, right? Because there's not enough pressure to, yeah. Yeah, speaking of it, that was the next one, right? We don't need to remember everything in here. It's more just being aware of all the imbalances that we can have here. We have high blood pressure that we talked about, low pressure. We have fluid imbalances that happens in the body. Blood volume imbalances. If you go and give blood, if you give a little bit too much, then you get a little bit dizzy, right? Some have issues with low blood volume. pH imbalances, sour blood, toxins in the blood, circulation balances, especially when people become older, they might have a problem with the blood circulation in their legs or somewhere.
So this is
people notice that they're cold on the feet. That's typically a sign of low blood pressure. Poor circulation. Right? Oxygen imbalances, nutrient imbalances. Right? Question is, how does this impact the other systems?
Through the cells again, this is impacting the cells, and then the cells is not
If you have hypertension, right, it will mess a little bit with some of your other systems, digestion system, right? That we know for sure. It can lead to diabetes, right? Because it affects the insulin production, right? So all these things have some impact if it gets too lost for the other systems. The body is put together in a very smart way, so we can compensate, right, for a while, and then.
I'm just thinking about my dad, because he has, he was getting old, and his heart become weak, and then he got some of these things on this list. And then he got medicine, and then he should have medicine for all the other systems, and then he don't want to take medicine, so he always cut it out. But every time he cut out his medicine, even he lowered the dose, he came into this imbalance between the systems because it was affecting on. So this is an example of how it's not just one thing. When you get treated with medicine, you have to compensate in the other systems also. It's quite scary because there's a chemical balance that needs to be maintained in the body. So even if you could lower your medicine for the main problem, you should also see, well, how will that affect the other system? And this was what we all talked about, 3, there are more systems, so our body is...
and there are more systems than what we are going to talk about as well, right? So you have...
microsystems.
Yeah, you have things like the lymphatic system, right? Which is like a subsystem of other systems. So absolutely. Okay, in yoga. So it's not limited to this. These are just some samples. So yoga is reducing stiffness of muscles, right? That means that the gas exchange in the muscles is smoother. Means lubrication, the fluids, the vascular stuff. It reduces stress on the heart because of our breathing techniques, right? Because of our mental mindfulness practices, or part of the practices, right? The breathing increase the oxygen and the waste, maximize the waste and oxygen exchange, right? I just mentioned briefly earlier, inversion, thinking about, the arteries work with gravity and the veins against gravity. So what happens when you stand upside down is that the heart can slow down. Your heart rate can be a little bit more relaxed. It means that, and at the same time as the waste removal from the muscles happen easier. Right?
So, I have a question. So it means that people with high blood pressure, this inversion is good, actually it's good for them.
Yeah.
But I usually heard that the student who have high blood pressure is usually like, I cannot do a handstand or headstand because I feel headache. And probably that fear of like when they do the handstand, the blood comes to the head and then they like explosion of the vein or something. So is it? Yeah, I have no idea, but probably it's a fear that they have the fear.
Absolutely. What happens if you have low blood pressure and you're upside down?
No.
Because that means that, you don't have to, so when you're upside down, the heart does not need to put as much pressure to get the return blood, right?
But
If you have low blood pressure,
you get all your blood to the head if you're upside down. Whatever, you have high or low blood pressure, you will get all the blood to your head. And if you have a high blood pressure, you can have too high pressure in your head, it's probably what you were talking about, but then you have to have very high blood pressure. And then something can break in the veins or in the head. If you have low blood pressure, the problem is not when you're upside down, the problem is when you are flipping back, because then everything is rushing down and then you will get dizzy. But I also heard this with high blood pressure that you shouldn't do inversions. But I can see it, but it probably depends on how high. If you are in that risk where you can actually, something can break
if you have high, if you go upside down, if you have high blood pressure, right, it will not need as much,
No.
but it will still be high, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're upside down, it will be high, but it might be a little bit lower during the time you're upside down.
But
I'm not a doctor, so but this is
I
nice things to research.
I also think that people who have high blood pressure, they fear and also because due to the technique. So remember Anna, people think that headstand is standing on the head. But actually it's not standing on the head. But if they engage, they use the shoulder, they use the upper back, they use the right muscle. All of your weight is not coming to your head, right? So it distributes and you don't feel pain or headache. You're getting less and less fear of the everything coming down to your head. So I also think it's also because they fear, so they never practice headstand properly, and then they becoming.
So it's a very good point, because what is causing high blood pressure even for people with not normal problem with high blood pressure? It's stress, right? And stress is coming from it's an imbalance, right? It can start mentally, which is increasing the pressure, creating imbalances in pressure and heart rate and so on, right? If you stop breathing, what happens?
I think it's stress.
You get stressed because there is not enough oxygenated blood going out, and it means that my heart has to work harder and beat faster to get the base out of and do the gas exchange in the tissues, right? So that will also cause, probably if you're standing upside down and you're not breathing, right, then that will cause you to have higher blood pressure. Or in any other poses where this occurs, right?
Yeah, often it is either stress or it is lifestyle in general that is creating high blood pressure. Either they are kind of eating too much and moving too little and things like that, or they are just hyper stressed. So
I have, I don't know if I'm supposed to trust the sources, but from my readings, the most common reason for high blood pressure is stress. And stress is also a lifestyle
it's also a
problem, right?
Yeah.
What is causing it? If it's eating habits or the day-to-day activities,
mental.
it's still stress, right? And it puts stress on the body.
I have been there once, so stressed that I got high blood pressure, and then I just had to stop. I was work for once, and then I just had to stop. And then it was breathing that was actually helping me calm down, because I'm not a person with high blood pressure, so I just have to do something and help. When you start breathing, focusing on breathing properly, because you start, even you don't want to do it, you are doing it.
Which is also why we tell our students, if you learn this breathing, in, hold, out, hold. If you do that cycle, then your endurance is increasing, right? Yeah, and we talked about that. Poses that reduce the pressure on legs and ease the work of cardio system. You know, laying with the feet up against the wall, shoulder stand, head stand. It's why we do these inversions in the end of
just like doing this, helping a lot if you're
And that's-
stressed or
right.
exhausted.
And that's what we'll see when we're teaching students on the evenings now. No, it's not so important that they do a shoulder stand, or if they can't do a shoulder stand, we're not skipping it, right? And lay with your feet up, lie with the feet up towards the wall, because you want to lower the pressure on the legs, and you want to increase the oxygen and waste production. Yeah. What kind of poses might this be about? We talked about headstand and shoulder stand.
I think all the twisting bow is also good for high blood pressure, because high blood pressure and not high blood pressure, but when you have the vein,
Varicoses.
yeah, So it's good because it's all the twisting it makes the muscles is stronger, and when the muscle is stronger, it helping the vein and artery. It has like a proper strength and strengthening. So it also helping with the
Yeah. So what is happening in varicoses is that the veins become porous and crack. Right? By the end of it, the blood will clot it, so that and another way around, right? And you hear about, especially older people, either whether it's because of circulation issues, blood pressure, or varicose veins, they put on these pressure socks, right? We can do similar things in yoga. Like eagle pose is one. You're restricting or you're relieving pressure on the veins. When you're cutting off the supply a little bit here, right, then the rest of the body is working easier, and those veins get sort of rest, right? Because it's not pressuring. The blood is still coming there, but it's coming there with lower pressure because you're restricting the
You're
pressure.
kind of isolating an area, and then you will just have the blood circulation there.
Well, you're not stopping the blood.
No, of course you can't do that.
So it just reduces pressure in that area. If you stop the blood, then it would have consequences, right? So you just want to relieve the pressure.
But that must be also the twisting and that,
Yeah.
Also, if you every post where you're actually not blocking something.
I think I need to look at my sheets, but twists are good for blood circulation. But I think that's more from the glands that the neuro system that you are giving a relief or activation, right? So eagle pose, relief. Legs up the wall, relief. Hero pose. Hero pose is a good relief for pressure in the legs. Typically, it's in the lower part of your legs that you will notice varicoses or problems.
Handstand also good.
Handstand, yeah.
Handstand good for the problem.
But you
Shoulder stand.
have many variations of these.
So in general, legs up or poses, which is
Where you are
restricting pressure in the area. Vinyasas.
Good for everything.
It's good for everything. And I noticed, especially during the last few days, how much I appreciate the sun salutations.
Yeah.
It's, you take it for granted when your practice is just flowing. But now it's like, oh, the sun salutations it's the best part of the whole practice. Right?
Also, vinyasa also good for people with lower back problem. So, because of the, I'm going too quick.
Well, we are into other systems now, but of course, but it's also helping for the circulation, right? So all this breathing that we're doing is helping with oxygen, right? Because we're really forcing the in and out, like emptying, filling up, and the movement is increasing circulation, it's increasing hydration or fluids in the body, right? I guess that's why someone call it the juice of, the body juice is flowing, right? Okay, we can move on. So, pranayama.
Helping the most obvious impact, the most obvious impact on the cardiovascular system. Because when we have the breath over extended period of time, it helps to slow down the heart rates. So people, when we are stressed or when we are have tension, usually the heart rate is pumping fast. But when we have breath over extended length of time, help to reduce heart rate.
If you notice, if you measure your heart rate and you hold your breath, you will see that it's lower, right? Why is that?
Hold the breath.
Yeah. So the slowest, so what is it? When you do Kamata, right?
You slow your heartbeat.
It slows down your heartbeat or the circulation, right?
Yeah.
Pumping slower.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about, if you hold your breath on the out, then the gas exchange happens. So more oxygen uptake, more expelling of toxins happen while the blood is there. Right? So more quality blood comes. But then you also need to get in new oxygen and get it out, right? But it means that you're slowing down so that the blood is able to take up more oxygen while it's in there. Right? Other things?
Benefit of pranayama.
Yeah. And how it impacts. It can be anything, just any insights.
If you maximize the quality of your blood, then you will have the best blood. The blood has a function, so the blood's function will be the best as it can when you maximize the quality of it. And this will lower your stress level in general in the body, because then you don't need to stress so much to get enough oxygen or nutrition, or you just get what you need. And, So I guess it will be more relaxed. Your body.
Other like what about this?
Yes. suction on.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my insight is that, especially when I teach beginner, there is a myth that holding breath makes people who have anxiety and nervous more nervous. But usually, I see that there's a lot of myth and misunderstanding in yoga. For example, pranayama makes people more anxious when they have anxiety. But from my own experience, uh, if someone has been trained like that, it will be hard to reverse the process because actually pranayama is helping the heart rate to calm down the mind and this is calm down the heart rate, so it's also calm down the mind. So our role as a yoga teacher, we we have to reverse that negative cycle or at least don't leave any imprints.
False beliefs that people might have. And I understand very well why these false beliefs are there. Because if you don't understand the complete picture here of what is happening, so we know that, okay, if you get a lot of, so there's two things, right? So if you get too much CO2, the blood vessels would cut supply to the brain, right? Then you will become dizzy, right? We know if you have short breath, right? So if you do for too long, what is happening? You get a lot of, well, the belief then could be that you get a lot of carbon dioxide in the blood, or very sour bloodstream, right? Which is increasing your heart rate, which is increasing anxiety, right? But I think, that is, with inspection, everything breaks down and change shape, right? So, or dissolve. So, if you look at that only exercise, right, and judge based on that, then these beliefs will be forming, right? So, yet another reason why anatomy and these systems might be important to understand. One thing is, students that come here and have those beliefs, but if we as teachers have the same beliefs, right, then we might continue to spread, the negative or an effect of or beliefs of pranayama, which is wrong. Right? And we see here how it's impacting the blood. I'm holding the breath, over an extended time or period, but that is of course not good. Right? But it's not what we're doing, right? We're maximizing. Yeah. And, alternating nostril breathing, right? Again, we were talking about cleansing, right? So if we cleanse things, we get a deeper breath, because we can breathe with the nose, right? We get more oxygen. If we have to compensate with the mouth, we get less oxygen in the body. So, you see what is on the next one here? Yeah. Kriya Yoga. Nauri, bloodletting, vomiting, meti,
Flushing.
flushing, both ways. Right? So many of these have an impact on other systems that again have an impact on the cardiovascular system. If we talk about Ayurveda, then they have, one of them is the bloodletting, right? If you have an infected area, increase the renewal of cells, right?
Mm.
That could be one. Meditation.
Meditation to calming has the impact on the nervous system.
And how does that affect the cardiovascular system?
When the nervous system is calmed down, and then the fight and flight response, we can stop the fight or flight response, and then it sends a signal to the heart to slow down the heart rate. But if we trigger the nervous system, then we have the fight or flight response, and then the heart picking up signal, and then it start to work. And then it makes all the circle become worse, because now the heart pick up the signal and working faster.
And now we're talking about not meditating, right?
I know.
So if you meditate, you're the opposite of that, right?
So I'm talking about why the meditation working on the nervous system is cut the fight or flight response. We sit there and then we're working with that, so we don't have to trigger the nervous system.
Well, one thing that happens in then is reducing the stress. Right? Object meditation, reducing the stress about a specific object, right? And then the blood system function optimal. Anything else?
About yoga or about other
It could be other practices, it could be yoga, it could be anything. Insights. You know, what takeaways do we have from this? Yoga asanas also have a stress reduction, right?
So when we breathe in to the nose, I heard that so the flying fire response is the nervous parasympathetic.
We'll cover that in
Okay.
the next session. Yeah?
Okay.
We'll start on it in the next session, and then we'll
Okay.
continue in the session thereafter.
So that's why we in pranayama we want people to breathe in the nose, not to breathe in the nose and out to the mouth. Because whatever in and out to the mouth, it triggers the parasympathetic system.
It's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons. Yeah.
My takeaway here, I think, is that you said the heart is the first thing that is created in an embryo. It means that the heart, and we know that also from different beliefs, the heart is the center. And to see how much this system is interacting with the other system we have covered, I think this is kind of a wake-up. I knew some of it from before, but how important it is to breathe properly, because this is an interaction, and also have a healthy heart. And this is by breathing, about keeping the circulation. If the circulation is driven by the pump, you have to have good health on the pump, but it's also the gravity. So you also have to open your body so the gravity actually can work in your body, taking all this down. If you are very tense, and then the gravity will not work as it should be. So I think, and this is where yoga come in, and mindfulness is also important. Keeping, Kriya Yoga, this is about having the system open and, ready to take in
And I also think it's interesting that in our body, the only organ is the heart that don't have cancer. We have cancer everywhere, but the heart is the only thing that I never heard of someone have the heart cancer.
No, you're right. You're right. I haven't thought about that, but you're right.
Yeah, probably because work all the time.
Yeah, it works all the time, yeah. It is, yeah.
Lung cancer, stomach cancer, everything.
Liver, exactly,
We
yeah.
have leukemia, not cancer.
Leukemia, not cancer.
Have
Yeah.
both
Cancer in the blood,
cancer in the blood,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's not because of the heart. It's not the cancer from the heart.
No, it's not the organ itself.
No,
No.
it's not the organ itself.
No, the heart is just a mechanical thing.
It's a muscle.
It's just a muscle that's working, but you have to keep it healthy and you have to keep those circumstances, things around the heart healthy.
So what I'm thinking is that when people are getting old, so they stop moving.
Yeah.
So that moving is the disease coming from stop moving. So look at the heart. The heart is working the whole time, so we never had the cancer from it. So that's a takeaway. Okay, as long as we move and then we reduce disease.
There is a Norwegian doctor and author, Alvin. No, he has been studying, he's a geriatric doctor, and he's been studying all these healthy old people that are 100 years old and you can't even imagine how, you can see how old they are, and they are just, they're healthy and keep doing things a little slower, but they can, and he has been studying them to see what is actually the common thing here, and it is, they have a healthy heart, and then they have good habit all life by moving. Doesn't matter if you're running or yoga or whatever, and then they have not stopped doing it. Yeah. And this keep their life, their heart healthy, and then they have no cancer. They have no. The only thing they affect them by getting old is that things happen slower. But they can do the same things. So that's quite interesting.
It's important to keep moving.
Keep moving.
Even if you're young, you see, if you stop using something, it degenerates, right? So when I had the knee surgery now, I was told that, rotate your, because you have to do this to keep your blood circulation moving, otherwise you risk having blood clots, right? And that is what happens, with some of us when we get older, we stop moving. Moving, we come to the muscle system as well, right? By moving the muscles, strengthening the muscles, they're also helping the cardio system and everything, right?
This is the stats we were talking about also earlier today. If you stop going in chairs, then suddenly you can't do it. If you stop taking your head down or squatting, then one day you can't do it. So when I was involved with all these young girls that even have children or anything like that, don't stop, just keep on, just do some salutations if you come into a busy part of your life, but don't stop do yoga. You can do it less or more, but don't stop. Because if you just do 5 sun salutations every day, then you will keep it flowing. And it takes 10 minutes. Yeah.
5 on the paper.
I don't think, yeah, but still, if you can put in 2 times 5 minutes a day, then you have done a lot for yourself. I'm eager to learn about other systems.
Yeah, I think,